Hey guys, Aaron Miles here with more Return of the Dragon Emperor spoilers here, sponsored by Untilt Gaming. Now that we've gotten all of the base archetypes, except for the Black-White Ruler and the Black-White Stone, we're kind of just getting random miscellaneous cards that fit into a couple of different decks, so I'm going to start with Ela, God of Water. She's got Barrier Resonator, gets +5/+5, and can't be blocked as long as you have 7 or more Water Magic Stones, and when you call a Water Stone, you draw a card. This is kind of like the alternative to Charlotte as a water win condition. The fact that in the late game she is a 15/15 unblockable that can't be targeted by resonators is undeniably relevant. The fact that she draws a card when you call a stone, also extremely good. I just don't know how I feel about Barrier Resonator being enough for this card to be a real win condition. Like, I don't think you really play this card over the Charlotte Resonator. And for that, I think it's a little bit rough for this card seeing play in a lot of decks. For the most part, you'd rather just play Charlotte as she has barrier from everything. This card can still get bear magic. Most removal is on spells, so having Barrier Resonator not as relevant, although it's definitely nice. You can't get Melter down, but Stealth's been kind of weaning its way out of the format in favor of dual-based control decks, especially with more of the black-white stuff coming out. Overall, solid card though. Just think it's not going to see play. I believe this one came out with it as well. It's just treated as a Water Magic Stone, same as the guy with the Fire Magic Stone ability. But this one's a Spirit, which will be relevant later. I think that, yeah, that was last night. This guy came out too. So as long as you control 3 more treasure items, he can't be destroyed. If I remember correctly, that includes by rules process, so if he hits 0 defense, he just stays at 0 defense. And he gets 100 attack for each treasure item, and when you Resonance Wind Magic Stone, he becomes a 5-color mana dork. Probably, last line attack's probably not super relevant, but there'll definitely be, scenarios where it's useful. But for the most part, he's just a pretty decent win condition so far for the Kaguya deck. Indestructible is really, really good. Obviously still vulnerable to bear magic, but when that's all you can do to remove a Resonator is bear magic and then do something else, it's pretty good. So once again, really solid card, not a great card, but I am always happy to see good cards. And this card kind of terrifies me. It's just a 3-cost spell. Puts a myth from your hand into your field. Puts the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field if you torrent it. That, for the most part, is not going to be super relevant. The scary part is being able to play this on turn 2 if you stuck a Sacred Elf turn 1. And then you kind of go back, you look at the myths through the game. The biggest one that sticks out is Odin. And being able to cheat in a turn 2 Odin is pretty spooky for a lot of reasons. We're getting more and more spells with X cost, so if you were to play this card on turn 2 and then have Odin, so you'd get Odin on turn 2, on turn 3 you would call to a 3rd stone, you would then have 3 stones and a Sacred Elf, which is 7 mana because Odin doesn't double the Sacred Elf mana, but 7 mana on turn 3 is pretty scary to deal with. So I could see something like that becoming a very viable Lumia deck, but it's kind of hard to say until we see the rest of the set. That guy's from this guy. So this just does the exact same thing as the Lumia Resonator from Vingolf 3, which is a really good card in the white Lumia deck, so having this doing the same thing could actually be really scary. It essentially just says draw 3 cards as long as this card's on the field, which is really good. We're seeing more and more good treasury items. I'm getting more and more excited for Kaguya. Then we have the green-blue modal spell. It's a 2 and a quick cast. Could have sworn this card cost 3 mana. I don't know. So anyway, it's just cancel target chance spell, draw a card, or put a treasure item with total cost 3 or less from your hand into your field. So I would say maybe 25% of the time when I'm canceling things with Keen Sense, it is not a normal chance spell. It's either an addition or a regalia. Sometimes you just really need to negate Levitine. And this can't do that, but that's not to say it's a bad card. It's good for counter wars. It's good for a few things, but once again, not a great card. But the ability to cheat in a 3-drop treasure item from your hand at instant speed, definitely not an irrelevant ability. I just don't know how board heavy this deck is going to get to the point where it has blue and green resonators in order to get both modes out. But we'll see. I'm not super sold on this card just yet. What else was there? database is not very organized, and neither is the official website. I guess at this point I'll skip into the stuff from last night. So last night was all about spirits, so I should probably start with Almerius. So she's got flying, she's a 5-drop 1000, and when she enters your field you force roll a die, and summon spirits with that up to 3 spirit resonators whose cost equal the force, or the roll of your force, collectively. So like if you roll a 6, you could summon 3 2-drops, or like a 4-drop and 2 1-drops kind of thing. If you roll a 1, you get a single 1-drop. And when a spirit enters your field, you gain 400 life. So if you get out all 3, you instantly gain 1200 life. This card's pretty good as far as resonators go. It's a little weird to me that blue-white, the archetype, kind of like split off from the. I mean, it does force, but I don't think you're gonna be playing spirit, like Spirit Millium. I don't think many of the other spirits had force mechanics. For example, getting the Salamander, one of the other spirits, it's a Tama, essentially. You sack it, it deals 300 damage to something, which is pretty good for a red card. Everybody knows I'm a big advocate of if it dies to Tama, it's bad, so for fire to get something along those lines, definitely not a bad card. I just don't think it's really going to see a whole lot of play outside of like a spirit deck. This one also came out last night. This is another spirit. When it enters your field, you return target resonator your opponent controls with total cost less than or equal to the number of water magic stones you control. That's pretty good. Tempo seems like it's going to be a pretty big thing going forward, at least in creature deck mirrors. There's going to be a lot of control decks, I feel, but creature decks are definitely going to have their place in the format. And the tempo swing on this one is pretty good. It just gets kind of better as the game goes on, although I'm not sure how much you're really going to care about bounce. Like, I don't think you want to bounce your opponent's 5-drops for the most part. You probably would care about bouncing Odin, but I don't know. I don't think you have any way to accelerate into 6 stones, and I think an Odin deck is going to have you on the ropes by then if they already have one out. But definitely not an awful early tempo play. This one, whenever another spirit enters your field, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I'm a little worried about the mana base for spirits, unless we see a stone that's kind of like the fairy stone for spirits, where like you reveal a spirit when you play it or it comes in tapped, and then you can produce any color to play a spirit. I think they are going to struggle with the mana base a little bit. Or maybe you just, because you can't not play blue if you're going to play Almerius, because she's white and blue, but then like this is a very good green spirit, the red spirit's probably even a little bit better than the blue spirit. So at the moment they seem a little all over the place in my head. Oh, and then this gnome guy. When you resonance later, water magic stone, target a rested resonator and destroy it or return it to the hand. So the spooky part is, from the way that I've read this, you destroy or return at resolution. So you don't have to pick until they've and if they've done something, like if they want to Apollo it, they have to do it beforehand, although 9 times out of 10 I'm pretty sure you're going to destroy your opponent's resonators, so not super relevant that that's the way that works. But overall, I think this card's a little slow. However, it is good to see blue-white getting some removal. At the moment, they don't have a whole lot. So it's nice to fill that little slot for them, but I think it's pretty mediocre overall, especially for 4 mana. And then Kingdom of the Spirits, discard a spirit, gain 600 life or draw a card. I feel like 9 times out of 10 you're going to draw a card. But I think that card's pretty good, especially it like fills the grave up for your Almerius, and you know, keeps you going through your deck, makes you want to play more spirits. It's like a bet, because fairies have Water Sprite. Spirits get this card. I think this card's a bit better than Water Sprite, but I don't. Until we see the whole set, I think spirits need a little bit more support than what they got just from this stuff this week. I definitely don't think what they have right now is enough, but it could be like either as more spoilers come out this set or next set. So I believe that's it. Wasn't a whole lot of spoilers in the last 2 weeks. Set drops on Friday for most pre-releases, and we're still missing. We only have 51 out of the 105 cards, but probably do a full set review when it comes out. Until then, I am Aaron Miles from Untilt Gaming. Have a good one.